Hi booktubers, I'm Debs and this is my channel, Raina Reads Stuff, and today I am going to do a quick Victober TBR because we're running out of September and therefore Victober will be starting. Victober, for those who don't know, has it's been running several years. It's the brainchild of Katie at Books and Things, and there are four other lovely co-hosts. I have today been through all of their launch videos to try and get some suggestions as to what I can read for Victober. I have listed all of their details down below if you want to join in or just want to take a look. It's one of a couple of book events I'm going to be doing for October, and I was quite surprised by how much stuff I had actually on the shelves. There is, to start with, a read along, and I've bought this specially. The Way We Live Now by Antony Trollope. Now, our hosts are all raving about it. I've never read it, and I think probably the only way I am going to read it is through this readathon. So I think it roughly works out as 4 or 5 chapters every day during October, and I can do that. Now, I've got a big pile of books here, and I'm not saying I'm going to read all of them. My aim for this is to tick one off for each of the hosts' prompts and to complete The Way We Live Now. So, Katie's challenge is to read something from the New Woman movement. I didn't know anything about the New Woman movement, but she's very usefully given a long list of suggestions as to what you could read for them. In keeping with my I really ought to read more plays, there's a couple in here that she recommended. One is Mrs. Warren's Profession and the other is Candida, both plays by George Bernard Shaw. So maybe one of those, I think, because I do need to get my head around more plays. I don't read enough of them. So I'm thinking those for the New Woman movement. And one of the others that she suggested, which was on my shelf, and it's a Thomas Hardy that I haven't read, is The Woodlanders. So that's another possibility for me. Now, Kate's challenge is to read a book featuring a stranger. On the lovely iPad, I have all of Wilkie Collins's books, some of which I've read, some I haven't. Kate suggests The Law and the Lady, which I haven't read, so that's certainly on the list, as is Christina Rossetti's Goblin Market, because I'm thinking poetry would be good to put in there as well. There aren't any other books of poems, so I think Goblin Market is a must. One of the other things she suggested was Treasure Island, and I don't think I've ever read that. So I might try. I'm bound to be able to pick up a copy of that quite easily from somewhere. Marissa's challenge is to read an author new to you. I've got two here. The first is George Gissing, and I've got a copy of New Grub Street. In New Grub Street, George Gissing recreated a microcosm of London's literary society as he had experienced it. That sounds quite good. And the other one I've got, which I think this is pretty much a definite, is George and Whedon Grossmith, Diary of a Nobody. I just think this looks fun. And I like fun. So there's a couple of possibilities for an author new to me. Petra's Challenge, first person narrative. I've got a couple here. She suggested The Moonstone and also The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins, both of which I've read before, but not for a very long time. So one of those is a possibility. Uh, Another one she suggested was Lorna Doone by R.D. Blackmore, which I have, um, and didn't realise it was Victorian literature. So that's another possibility. The other ones, Three Men in a Boat, Jerome K. Jerome, reread, very small, absolutely love it. Haven't read it for ages. About time I read it again. And a Bronte sister. I haven't read Anne Bronte at all. So I've got The Tenant of Wildfell Hall in physical copy, and I have Agnes Grey in an e-version. So I'm thinking one or other of those would also be good. Then we have Roz's challenge, and she has chosen something which puts a big emphasis on class. Um, and as she says in her video, that's actually not that difficult because the Victorians were pretty obsessed with it. I've got another play here because I want to read it, and I've been putting it off for ages. It's tiny. Why have I been putting this off? The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. I've got a George Eliot. I've read this before, not for, I mean, decades it is, I think, since I read this. But Silas Marner. And then the last one is a Charles Dickens. Now, Charles Dickens and I have a very difficult relationship in that I've got no idea whether he would like me, but I don't particularly like him that much. Um, for years, the only Charles Dickens I read was at school, and we read Bleak House and Hard Times, um, both of which was suggested for her prompt. I hated both of them, and I cannot decide. Well, I'm pretty sure I hated them because I was being forced to read them at school, rather than I hated them because they are dreadful books, because I don't believe they are. So I've got Hard Times here. I'm going to give it another go and see how we get on. I've also got Bleak House. In fact, I have the entire collection of Charles Dickens novels that were very lovingly gifted to me by an elderly friend. Um, and I ought to learn how to read them. Since school, I've read Oliver Twist, and I've read A Christmas Carol. And earlier this year, I read Hard Times, and I actually loved it. I had a colleague at work that was forever berating me for not trying Dickens again, so I'm going to try it again. I'm definitely going to read Hard Times as one of the Victober books. Which of the others that I read remains to be seen. Um, but there's certainly plenty to choose from, and I'm really looking forward to taking part in my first Victober. So thank you very much to Katie and all the co-hosts, and thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. I have some more videos coming up this week about other events that are starting in October, and we'll chat soon. Thank you for popping by. Have a lovely week, and I will speak to you soon.